This brings us to our weekly speaker spot. Every week at Business at Breakfast, somebody is pulled out of the ground without their knowledge and asked to tell us a little bit more about what it is that they do. They're not allowed to speak freely at all because I give you some instruction. Today, we have the wonderful Annie Bourke. So I met Annie Bourke a couple of weeks ago via Bonnie McDonald. And as we were chatting, it turns out she knows Joanne Watson. And oh my goodness, she's like all over the place. But she's a pet intuitive. Let's go. Is that right? Will we go down that? An animal intuitive? Right. And so think of the way I see it is think of Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, but with animals before and after they've passed. So she can talk to the animals beforehand. She can do it after the fact. It's kind of very cool. So Annie, here's what I want you to do. I want you to give us your elevator pitch again and a quick history as to how you came about doing this. And then stop talking so we can ask you questions.
Okay. I'm the animal-human relationship enricher. I have telepathic conversations with animals who are living or in spirit and answer their human parents' questions. I also mentor animal parents and animal professionals to master telepathic communication and talk with their own animals. I started this over 14 years ago. One of my cats guided me to start doing this work. She knew it was my life purpose, and it was her life purpose to guide me to do this. As I've progressed, I've learnt so much more and just been amazed with the wisdom animals have to share with us, but also how much they can support us with our life journey.
Okay. Who's got some questions for Annie? Yep, Helen.
When you say like support us with our life journey, can you maybe explain what you mean by that?
Yes, certainly. So animals and humans have life missions and soul lessons to learn. They just happen to be here in an animal body. We're here in a human body. But somehow they know what our life purpose is and they know what our life lessons are. So they can actually give us guidance to help us on our path. Sometimes they've deliberately come to us for us to help them master some of their lessons, but often it's because they're here to help us behind the scenes. Some of them are here as healers, teachers, guardians, and additional roles to that. So it's just fascinating finding out why they're with their human. Some of them have had past lives with you, and it seems that they have a long soul contract. They keep reincarnating back to help support you and be with you.
Thanks. Can I ask another question?
You
Yeah,
can.
go
It's
for it.
$100 for a second question.
Love it.
Actually, I've just forgotten. No, truly, as I said, can I ask another question? It just went from me, but I'll think of it in just a minute. So I'll come back to it. Just maybe someone else might have a question.
Oh, thank you. Joanne's got goosebumps. I get goosebumps as a clairsentient response, which is one of the spiritual gifts we have when my soul hears the truth. It's just really interesting. So people can just tell me something and I'll get a reaction. So I won't even know anything about their animal, but they'll just say something and I'll know what the answer is. Mm.
So my Noah wants to come back as a cat.
They need to come back into a home where they're going to be loved and respected and well looked after. So
I
he,
was
he
just
needs to
suddenly,
qualify that statement. He doesn't want to.
yeah, I was just sort of thinking, yes, I can see you coming back as a cat because you're quite fickle.
That's a bit mean to cats.
I know, right? And then because it's suddenly starting to come to me, actually, if they have a purpose and they know what's going on, they're not technically fickle then, are they?
Hmm.
There's a plan and they're watching us from the edges while we either play it out or they play it out to help us out in some way. I was just going to say, what is the thing with cats then regarding that? Because they tend to get that stigma of being fickle.
I think people just don't take the time to really connect with their animals, and not necessarily just cats. But there's a lot we can learn when we just sit with them and learn to understand what they're showing us. So until we can communicate telepathically with them, which is what I do, they have to try and communicate with us through their eye language or body language or different vocalizations or even changes in behavior to get messages across to us that they're trying to tell us something, and we need to pay attention. And yes, a lot of people think cats are very independent and aloof, but like mine, the red boy you can see on the banner behind me dictated the last chapter in my recent book. He just sat there and told me what to write, like paragraph after paragraph. And I just had to read it into my phone and transfer it to text and put it in the book. Like, they're just incredible. People are amazed at the vocabularies they have. A lot of people assume, oh, yeah, it's a dog. It knows stop and walk, and that's it. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can have profound conversations with them. They know words from past eras that we don't use in common day language now. And when I do my mentorship program and we do all these exercises where they have to send different messages, they've used words I've never heard of. And I look them up in the dictionary and they're there. One of my cats was working with one of my clients, and my client had to send her a word and then ask her to send back the word that she received. My client sent the word transform. My cat sent back the word transmogrify. Now, I don't think I've ever said that word in front of her, but when I looked it up, it means to transform in a surprising or magical manner. So she knew exactly what word had been sent to her, but she was upping the ante, sending back a word that meant the same but was different. So I actually said to her, how did you know that word? Because you haven't learnt it from me. And apparently she was an English tutor in a past life, and it's a word she's familiar with. So it's just incredible what they can tell you, and it just opens up a whole new world, understanding what they know and what they want us to know.
I know when Terry was a puppy, he was 2 years old. It wasn't that much of a puppy, 2, 3 years old. Before we moved to Chinchilla, where we lived, I had this chair that I sat in, and it was a single armchair, and a bit of a comfy chair, and it had a matching footrest. And so Simon would be on the long lounge, and Terry sometimes would get off the lounge. He was there with Simon, and he'd come over, he'd look at me, he'd look at the footrest, he'd look at the chair, he'd look at me. And I said, did you want to get up here with me? Now, this is not a dog that like basically sits on your lap, but and then I'd say, and he'd just keep looking at me, and I'd go, I think you want to get up with me? Here, look, I'll move over. I'd get a gap about this far, and then he'd be like trying to get into that space. Like, someone's like, I can't believe he actually knew exactly what you were saying. I said, he just had that look about him, but I wasn't expecting him to do that either. And it's funny, some of the things I say, that it seems exactly like that's the look that he's giving me. So sometimes Roxy, she's now decided that she will get on the lounge. She's never done this before, but there seems to be a 2-year mark. Golden retrievers go, it's happening now and you'll never stop me. And we've had her for 2 years. She suddenly gets on the lounge, but she doesn't take up a little bit of space. She's little compared to him, but she'll take up all the space, and then she'll growl at him if he goes to get on. So he's like, I'm not sitting next to her anymore. So he'll just sort of look and go, he'll look at Simon, and he'll look at this much of a gap between Simon and the chair. And he goes, what does Terry want? And he'll put one paw on it. And I said, he wants to get into that gap. He said, that can't be it. That's it. If you ask him, do you want me to move over and get into that gap? You watch what he does. And he does. He starts to get a bit closer. And I said, if you move over a little bit, say, I'll let you in. Simon gives him a gap about this big. And this 40-kilo golden retriever crawls into the space. Like, it's quite interesting. I get what you're saying. Like, they do know words much better than we think they do. Like, they know what you're saying.
Yep. But because they have free will, they decide whether they want to obey your instructions or not. So I know Tanya said she's trying to talk to her dog who's trying to destroy her fig tree. And if you just say, stop that, they hear you. But if they want to, they'll continue. But if you explain why you want them to stop destroying the tree, they can then take that into consideration and that can change their behaviour. They're so smart.
I was saying exactly that because you said it. I was saying that over dinner the other day when the dogs were barking out the door and they're yelling out the door, and the kids from the dining table are yelling at the dog, stop barking, stop yelling at the door. And I've gone, okay, well, that doesn't work. That's like hitting a child saying, don't use your hands for hitting. Your hands aren't used for hitting. Like, it just makes no sense. And I said, but we're just saying stop doing it. But we're supposed to tell them why, because it's frightening us while we're trying to eat dinner. Like, and see how that works better. Because I remember you saying that, like, if you give them a reason why, it's not just stop, it's why is it? And I mean, heck, I've got 2 kids that want to know, why are you asking me to do that? Because I asked you, just do it. No, tell me why. And you're right. I think everybody has free will because they'll make an informed decision based off that why.
Yes. And I'm being distracted watching Lana's beautiful cat on screen as well.
Yeah. All right. So we've chatted before, and I was trying to wrap my head around this. Some of the conversations that you've had include, like, if there's let's say you've got a pet that's older and ill, and you've been asked to ask the pet, do they want more treatment, or is this the end, or
Yes.
also, and you've had people come to you later after their pet has passed or has had to be put down because they've gone, I think it would be the nice thing, but then the person feels guilty moving forward, like, did I do the right thing or not? And you've been asked to go back and ask those questions. Tell us some of the questions that you get asked.
Look, a really common question is, are they still mad at me? So people do feel very guilty and remorseful about end-of-life decisions, and our animals don't feel angry or mad at us for what decisions we make. They know we're acting for their best interests, and some of them have actually appreciated, that they transitioned when they did, because often they're hanging on longer than they really should just because they don't want to leave us. And so they're silently in pain, but they don't want to let that on. So that's a common question. I get asked why they were with us, so what was their purpose. More people are waking up now to the fact that we may have had past lives with them, and they may have been an animal with us in past lives, or they may have been a human. And so I get asked, if we had past lives together, what can you tell us? And I was just speaking to a dog who passed over recently, earlier this week, and he gave me details of 3 past lives he'd had with his mum, some as human, some as animal. The big question that people are asking now is my animal going to reincarnate? And that's a big part of my work, since one of my cats taught me about this, and I had no idea it happened until she taught me. And so now I know when an animal passes over, if it's their destiny to come back in this lifetime with you, they can tell me what species they're going to be, what breed, what colour, what gender. It's been very educational, finding out all sorts of colours. Who knew that lemon is a colour for dogs? I'd never heard that before. And sometimes they come back as a different gender because that's the body that's available, and sometimes they're not exactly keen on coming back as a different gender, but because they want to come back to you, that's what they do. They also pick new names because when they come back, they're a higher evolved version of themselves, so they want a new name. Often they get called their old name because they can sometimes look identical to what they looked like last time. But yeah, just fascinating. People have asked who they're with on the other side, and I've actually recommended people don't ask this question because I've found through experience that they make new friends on the other side, new humans, new animal souls. And so when I describe them to the parents, they've got no idea who I'm talking about. So I just say, please don't ask that question. And the best question to ask is, what do you want to tell me? Because then that's an open question, and whatever the animal's been wanting to tell you for ages, they can share. So particularly if it's guidance about what you need to do with your work or your spiritual development, if you're stressed, they will know, and they'll tell me that mum's too stressed and she needs to do relaxation and meditation or whatever it is, because they're very concerned about your welfare. Another question I get asked for living animals is, what can I do to make you happier? And most people are expecting, you know, more walks, more treats, more one-on-one time with my parent. But actually, again, because they're so tuned into your well-being, they will tell me things that you need to do to self-nurture you so that you're happier and healthier. And they will be happier when you're looking after you. And they can see you taking action. And they can respond very quickly. So a lot of behaviour changes change within 24 hours of having a conversation, because they're so grateful that you've asked the question about what's causing the problem and what can I do to help. They respond very quickly. So all of those different kind of questions, like how would you feel if we get another animal? How would you feel if we move house? I've got a new partner that I want to bring home. How are you going to feel adjusting to sharing me with someone else? All of those kind of things. They have an opinion, and they can let me know what they want to tell you.
Well, I'd like to hear what a cat has to say about that, because they're not always. I'm interested. You know, like some cats will take on new cats, but other cats not so much.
Sometimes it's an issue, like with females. If you get another female, often a female doesn't like having other females around. I had my 2 original animal communication teacher cats, one male, one female. I wanted to get a red boy, who's the one you can see in the banner, but I asked both of them first if they minded. My boy didn't mind who it was. My girl said, as long as it's a boy, that's okay. And then behind my back, they actually started communicating with him telepathically to let him know what it was like in our house and kind of welcoming him in. And so when I started talking to him, they said, "Oh yeah, we've already been talking." Like, you just don't know what they're up to. Some of you will have seen your animals having family meetings and they've all got their heads together. Nothing's being said verbally because they talk, it's silent in your head, but they will be talking to each other.
It's really interesting.
But it's like people, like not everyone's going to be your best friend. And you wouldn't want to live with someone that you don't really like. And that's the same with animals. They don't all know each other, but they can tolerate each other. And that's something you can explain to them, that, you know, you understand they don't have to be best friends, but you would like there not to be World War III in your house. And can they please respect that everyone's loved and everyone's got a right to be here?
Maybe that's why my cat's an only cat, so she doesn't have a choice. Besides the neighbourhood cats that come and say hello, but they don't live in the house.
Yeah. How much does it cost to get asked questions? What's the price?
I have a range from one question. If people have one burning question, that's $56. And so you can have multiples of questions. I have a 4-question package with a bonus question. So you're getting 5 for the price of 4, which is $222. This is Australian dollars. And a 6-question package with a bonus question, which is 7 questions for $333. So there's a variety of things. I've got a list of suggested questions for animals in spirit to help guide people with what questions they need to ask. And I can help people to craft their questions, because I get people saying, is my animal happy? And that's a yes/no question, which to me is really a waste of a question. And that's why I recommend they change it to, what can I do to make you happier? Because that's an open-ended question and you get more information out of your animal.
Like to work out a way to make my cat happier, because she always seems to be in a mood.
And sometimes our animals are carrying emotions from when they were younger, particularly rescue animals. They may still be dealing with whatever happened to them before you adopted them. And I've spoken with a lot of animals, whether it's abandonment, whether it's terror, despair, all sorts of different things can have happened to them. And unless they get assistance to deal with the emotions, they just fester inside, hidden from us, but can actually affect them physically if they extend to that point. And I've spoken to a number of animals who have been grieving for other animals in the family, and no one knew and it's just eating them up inside. And, you know, some of them are just struggling to cope day by day because they're so overwhelmed with this deep grief. So I do actually refer clients on for some healing modalities to help with those behaviours as well. So I don't know the background of your cat, Lana, but sometimes it's even
Yeah,
a
I
past
adopted her when
life.
she was 3, so I don't really know what she went
Yeah, so
for.
something may have happened in those 3 years, or something may have happened in past lives that wasn't dealt with, and then that continues into this lifetime.
Or she just
Also,
doesn't like me cuddling her.
no, there will be a reason. And that's the other interesting thing I've found as well, that when an animal reincarnates, if they choose to go into a rescue animal body, although they weren't the ones to experience personally what that rescue animal experienced, some of those emotions may still be trapped in the cellular memory of the body, and so it can affect the incoming soul. So they may need some emotional support as well. So again, that's the power of having a conversation. You can just ask, you know, what's causing this behavior and what can I do to help you? And they just love the fact.
Yesterday she got into my turmeric bottle and got yellow stains all over her toes. And I'm just
But I
like,
bet she feels a lot better from eating it. A lot of animals are on turmeric just because
yeah,
of the
she just
health
decided to
benefits.
get onto my kitchen bench, knock over my turmeric bottle, and she got it all over her feet. I'm like, why?
Because I can, and maybe she wanted it. Maybe she knew.
I
Because
don't know.
it's
I'm like, I don't
interesting,
even know what she, I would like to know what she was thinking there. I'm
yeah,
like,
because it helps with inflammation,
yeah, I don't
amongst
think
other things.
she doesn't do anything but sleep and eat all day. I don't know why she's sore or has, anyway.
She may have early arthritic changes. When I first spoke to my boy cat when I was learning how to talk, he
Mm.
said sore left hip, and it was clear as a bell. And I thought, he's
Mm.
got no signs of having anything wrong with him. He was jumping into my lap, jumping onto bed. Anyway, we got him x-rayed, and he had early arthritic changes in both hips, and the
Mm.
left was worse than the right.
I
So
don't want
sometimes,
to accept that fact yet. My girl's only 7, so
yeah, well, he was quite young, but he already had these early changes, so you just don't know what's going on.
I think
Yep,
I
and I
need to
think,
have a
sorry,
chat with
someone
you,
else
Annie.
had a
Yeah,
hand up.
Lucia.
Because now I'm like thinking, oh my God, is she have these things?
Yeah.
I have
Lucia had a
question,
hand
but
up.
yeah,
Yep.
and I need to go in a couple of minutes. So I'm sorry, Annie. My question is, and you may have said it and I might have missed it, is so how do they, and I get what you're saying, but how do they communicate it, the answers to you? How do they do
Good
that
question.
with their, is it with their, is it what you feel from them, or is it what their eyes are saying to you? Do you mind if I ask that
Yeah,
question?
I actually connect with animals through photographs. So I have conversations with animals all around the world, plus the ones in spirit. So all I need is a photo, like you can see of my boy behind me showing the face with the eyes open. And then I tune into them energetically. I have to get consent to have a conversation because it's a free will choice for them. And animals communicate telepathically in a number of ways. So, verbal is the main one. So, I hear their voices in my head. It's not audible in my ear, it's in my head. All different accents and tones, just like humans. Um, they can send images. So, they could send me the letters LOVE for love, or they could send an image of a heart, and they can somehow do thought transference and send little video snippets to explain things. They can also send emotions and feelings. So I've had a few situations now with horses with problems where I've asked them to let me feel in my body what they feel in their body. And then I can work out where the pain is, and what's going on so that the parents can get help for them. So they use all those different ways of communicating with me. Sometimes you just know what the answer is. It's like claircognizance. You know it and you don't know how you know it. They can do that to you as well. And they're all the different techniques that I practice in the mentorship program too. So I never know how they're going to answer a question, and some of them tell me funny stories and make me laugh. But yeah, it's just, they're just overwhelmed, I think, at the start that a human is trying to talk to them because most of them won't have had that experience before, but then they're just so excited to answer their humans' questions, but it gives them a chance to pass on their personal messages to you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Annie.
Thank you. And Tanya, last question.
Yeah, we've got 3 dogs, and one of them just decided to destroy our plant, which is fantastic. Do you, because we were told, like when we got our dog, like our first dog, that you shouldn't hug your dogs because it's traumatic, like it causes
Shouldn't what your
trauma for
dog,
them.
sorry?
Shouldn't hug your dogs or cuddle your dogs. And so I said to my kids, if you feel like you want to cuddle the dogs, do it. Did you ever find any dogs that say to you, no, I don't like, should it be a thing that, you know, because they say scientifically proven that it causes trauma to dogs? And I'm like, that must be the biggest load of rubbish.
I've never ever heard that before, Tanya.
Yeah,
That's
I
really
have.
interesting.
Yeah.
I know animals have different perceptions of personal space. One of my cats doesn't, I think he just ignores personal space, and he'll just go up and smooch into anybody, whether it's me or the other cats. He doesn't care. He just wants to have that contact with them. They're not necessarily wanting that same level of affection as he does, but they're all individuals, but it's a trial and error thing. And you just have to observe, as I said, watching their body language, how they react. And like if you put your hand on them and they're okay with that, then you can try stroking them. And if they're okay with that, then you can progress to doing the hug. You know, if they don't want you hugging them, they'll move,
They'll
they'll go
bite
away.
your face off. Like, they'll have a go at you.
No,
So you
because
need to be guided by how they interact with you. They're teaching
our dogs
you.
like it. Our dogs like it, but then they're in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, oh, but you know, because some vet said to them, it's actually on the internet that you shouldn't hug your dogs because it's traumatic for them. And I'm like, that's to me, that just
unless you're
ridiculous.
squeezing them really tight and causing discomfort, I can't see how. You know,
I do
it's
that
an
to
expression
Terry.
of love. Yeah,
I do that to Terry. I lounge all over him. I hug him too tight. And everyone goes, how do you get away with it? Because when the boys do it and Simon does it, like he'll be, I said, because he's just, you know, he's not going to talk like that to me.
Yeah. And it's just being aware and respecting their boundaries. So if they're giving you signals that they're happy with what you're doing, keep doing it. If they don't like it, they're going to show you they don't want it. So
it's like toddlers, if they don't like something, they'll tell you. They'll scream at you or. So I always say, like, my kids always respect our dogs.
I'm like your smoochy cat, Annie. I don't have boundaries. I don't have personal boundaries if I choose not to. And then I'll ignore everyone else's, including the dogs. And he's gone, oh, that's her then. But the others seem to have boundaries. So when they decide to really press Terry's boundaries to see what they are, he lets them know. But he just kind of has that look that just says, yeah, but it's her. I mean, she's not going to listen. We may as well just put up with it. If Mom's going to cuddle you, put up with it.
Yeah, it's a free will thing. So like, you know, I let my cats come into the bedroom. If they want to sleep with me, that's fine. They want to climb on me. They want to kiss me. They want to be smoochy. That's their choice. That's their free will. And I'm happy with whatever they do to show their affection. And sometimes our animals have actually come to us to learn how to show affection and how to give and receive love. And they may seem very aloof and not want anything to do with you, but it's being gentle and persistent and just telling them verbally that you love them and you want them to get to a point where they're happy to accept that love and show you some love too. And that changes you, learning how to help them, and it changes them. It's very powerful.
All right, then. Well, thank you, Annie, for being our speaker today. Thank you, audience, for participating. Oh, Annie, I think I was telling you about the book, The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Yes.
So I was telling you that a couple of weeks ago, and then someone wrote to me last week and said, oh, Misty, there's a movie on Netflix. It's called The Art of Racing in the Rain. You'll love it. And I've gone, funny, I've been talking about that book for a couple of weeks now. So there you go. Apparently it's on Netflix over here in Australia. The movie's good. The book is better because you get more background of the dogs, how the dog is doing things, whereas the movie can't give us all of that background information. But there you go, The Art of Racing in the Rain. It's actually an analogy on Formula One driving when it rains. And, you know, do you slam the brakes on when you get to a corner? Or how do you race in the rain? And it turns out it's kind of the same when facing problems in real life as well. Don't slam the brakes on. You could end up sliding into a wall. So yeah, it's really good. All right then. Well, everyone, thank you so much. That makes it to the end. If you haven't done so already, save the chat box before you leave. If anyone has any questions on their way out, just ask on your way out. And you're good to go.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
See-
Thank you for all the questions, and thank you for letting me have so much airtime, Misty. I appreciate
See,
that.
see how by not saying much in your section of the talk, how we dragged all that information out of you, which if we had have allowed you to just give your view of the talk with no parameters, you would have told us that, but it would have been too hard for us to take in your format, like, you know, in the order of which you want to give us. But we dragged out all the information. Bet you'll leave going, that was exactly what I wanted to tell them. Wow, it all just kind of came out. And because we dragged it out of you in the order that we needed it. And so, yeah, no, it was my pleasure, Annie. Absolutely my pleasure.
I didn't even know that sort of service existed, to be honest. So it was very, very good to know.
I know, right?
Thank
Turns
you.
out there's
I meet a lot of people and they say, I've never met anyone like you, or, but you look so normal. Like,
I love that.
I don't know whether they're expecting aerials coming out of my head or what, but it's just, yeah.
I just
I'd
finished
love
reading
to know
this.
what my cat thinks of me some days.
Yep. They're very polite. They're never rude or disrespectful. They give constructive feedback.
Excellent. I've just finished reading this for the second time. And it's about two friends. One's in a wheelchair. And he says to the one not in the wheelchair, he says, we should do the Camino de Santiago. So the pilgrim walk from France across Spain, right? And he's in a wheelchair. So they start at France, at Saint Jean de Pied, and they say, and as they get all the way, and it's so hilly and everything. And as they run into different people, they say, well, where did you start? At Saint Jean. No, you didn't. Or then someone else will say, really, what's it like on the bike trail? Because you know, is it smooth? Like, is it easy enough to go? And they've gone, we don't know, we came over the mountains. And they go, no, you didn't. Or what are you doing in that chair? We're going to do the Camino de Santiago. No, you're not. Like, it's you know, everybody has thoughts and opinions. Something, you know, like we don't necessarily believe that. That's where I was headed, where it's like, you seem so normal. Yeah, I am. People believe what they believe, right?
Exactly.
All right then, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.